Yo, yo, yo. Hey, y'all. Welcome to another episode of Acoustic Chef. This is your girl, Ebony.
This is your boy, D. Will.
I'm your girl, Damn Gina.
And this is Capel.
How y'all doing out there?
Doing great. I overslept this morning. It feels good when you oversleep.
It does feel good because you got other people waiting. You didn't spring forward.
Feel like I got like 30 hours of sleep or whatever.
Yeah, you came in here like Mariah Carey. Like, what else you need? You need a bowl of Skittles?
Only the red ones, the red Skittles.
Yeah. I wonder why that is though. Like, is your mind, is your body must be pumping full of what's the name? Not endorphins. What's that other stuff? Adrenaline. Maybe that's why. You know what I'm saying? Like you feel energized after you oversleep or something.
I feel rushed, and when I oversleep, I'm all frazzled. I'm like, I jump up. Yeah. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I missed everything. So it's not a good feeling for me.
I've done some of my best work oversleeping. So
all the things you think you need to get done to get dressed, you forget about when you oversleep.
For real.
At least I do, shit.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, so have y'all go ahead.
Oh no, I was about to say daylight savings time. I'm glad daylight savings time. See, I feel like a whole new like that half of the year is kind of like I feel energized just for daylight savings time. I don't know what it is, but that extra hour will make life feel so much better. Yeah. I mean, as far as like having extra daylight, I mean, I don't know. For me, it's like daylight savings time is like the best part of the year or whatever. Y'all don't feel the same way about daylight savings time?
Well, no. I like springing forward. I don't really care about the fallback. I like the springing forward because I like the light in the evening.
Exactly. That's what I mean. That's exactly what I mean. I said daylight savings time, but the change when we spring forward and we have, it don't get late to like 8:30 or something like that. I like that.
You like for it to look dark sooner, so that way you get more rest or something like that?
No, I was explaining that I like it to get dark later, like it is now.
So we have more time to do stuff.
This part of the year, yeah. I was using the wrong terminology.
So what if you live like I don't know, like in the Arctic or whatever, like in Alaska or something like that, where it's like dark or light for 6 months out of the year?
Aren't those zombies anyway?
Who, the Alaskans?
I don't know.
I don't know.
One Alaskan. Do y'all know people from Alaska? I know one person.
I don't know anybody.
I know
people that have like migrated, there or to here or something like that.
Yeah. I know somebody who went to college in Alaska.
And
Jason lived there for a little while, but that's it.
Why?
Jason Madison used to live in Alaska, bro.
I don't think
he ain't from. Yeah, he used to live out there.
I have a friend. A lady I know. I met her maybe a couple years ago, and she's from Alaska, and she moved to Houston and went to Texas Southern University. But I think her family was like in the military or something. But I just don't really understand. Like you said, somebody went to college there. Like they must have gave a hella scholarship. Like what prompts you to say, I want to go to the University of Alaska, or whatever they have out there? Like.
This chick different. This chick I'm talking about, she's different. Like, for her, it was like, oh, Alaska is experience, blah, 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 whatever. Yeah. Nah, I mean, I feel you though. It would be an experience, but it's not an experience that I would want.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's an experience like maybe for a day trip or something, but like for 4 years, I don't know.
Yeah, to live there, yeah.
But all we know about Alaska, okay, so I think Alaska is like one of what they call the last frontier. I'm not certain if they still have the homestead law in Alaska or whatever, but I think it was one of the last places that still practice it. So if the law is still like active, you could go to Alaska, and if you could build on a piece of land and like I guess put a fence around it, that's your land.
Well, why don't we all go?
There's a show. It's called Building Alaska.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think they are still doing that because I saw that on it was a different show, but I saw a part where a guy basically went and bought like several acres of land for extra. Like it was so cheap, and he used that land for business. I forgot exactly what he does, but he's making millions of dollars doing it. But yeah,
wow.
I mean that would be great, but I don't like cold like that.
It ain't all cold.
Yeah, well, Yeah. Well, I don't know.
I mean, it's all cold, but I'm saying it ain't all snow and ice. It's not like Antarctica. You know what I'm saying? Like that's probably what you thinking. Like,
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
yeah,
Because I'm like, if we were to ever get our 40 acres, I could see that's where they would give it to us.
they
Like,
dirty. They dirty. Or somewhere like Arizona or something, just straight desert. Like you can't even can't even grow
Hey,
that.
you know what? If they was to say, hey, if you want your 40 acres, this is where it is, then I would consider going to Alaska. Fuck it.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, you know, I would.
I need
At the
some
very
water.
least, go there to place my to get my land and get it up to where I need it to be, and
yeah,
Yeah.
and move back to where I am. Or like, you know, I would be in Alaska a lot.
yeah. I'll do
Nah,
something with wherever the land is, but I could see that.
nah. We need one state or at least maybe 1 to 2 states on the East Coast. So Florida and North or South Carolina. Then we need Cali or Oregon or what's the other one? Or Washington. And then up north, I don't know. I don't care about up north, but
You want Maine? You want Maine?
Nah,
I want to talk. You talk about the east, like northeast. No, I'm cool. I'm cool on the west. I mean, on the east, I'm cool with Florida because I need warm climate. You know what I'm saying? I don't
Yeah.
like cold. And then down south, I'm cool down south or
yeah,
whatever. Y'all have to pick.
Yeah.
I'm cool with
yeah.
whatever y'all want.
Well,
For sure.
hopefully, Moneybag Joe is listening to our podcast right now because he's giving out stimuluses. He might think
Moneybag
about that
Joe.
next bill to go on and give us our 40 acres. Hint,
already
hint.
have
So
their stimulus. I thought it was going to be rolled out in the next few weeks, and like as early as Friday afternoon, people were posting
Get their
on
money.
social media saying that they had
there's
their
no
money.
crabs.
Yeah.
My brother and sister-in-law got theirs, but they got theirs on Cash App. And I was
Wow.
Really?
like, is that
What?
y'all's main bank account? Like, what kind
Oh,
of weird?
they have
You
a
can use Cash
routing.
App for they do?
Yeah, there's a Cash App has a routing number, and you can
And
get
a
a debit
card.
card. And
I have
Oh.
a debit card.
I have a Cash App debit card for when I need to, transfer money
I'm
real
checking
quick
my
and make a
cash up.
purchase.
Yeah, me too.
But no, I think they used it for their
Taxes.
for their tax return last time or last year or whatever, and so that's why they're getting it to their Cash
They had
App
to have.
now.
That's because that's the only way they would have got
I'm
the
like,
stimulus
how they
money.
know to send it to your Cash App? And he was like,
That's
I don't know, but I
crazy.
got my money. And they have 3 kids. It's them two
Man,
plus
people are
3
balling.
kids. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, y'all, okay.
I was
Sad.
Ubering last night. I was on Uber Eats and I got an order for the Crafty Crab. It was like a huge crab order. I was like, yeah, the stimulus money right
They
here.
got their money.
That was black when you got there.
Hell yeah.
What's wrong with my people, man? God damn.
Let's go
Man,
and
this has
bang
been a
it,
trying
Brad.
time. They just want to enjoy it. We just want to
But
enjoy
you-
ourselves.
But you just got your stimulus and now you just blew
And that's
half of it
gone.
on some damn crab.
I'm
I mean,
betting
let's
my
be
money
fair.
on
I don't know if it was stimulus money. I'm just making a joke because I know that's what a lot of people said.
I bet you they got it to their Cash
But
App.
you know, it's a hell of a coincidence, because it wasn't in a certain part of town like that. It wasn't in a part of town where you'd be like, oh, this person probably got money. They can get crab when they want. It was more like in a part of town where it's like, you
The
ain't order
sunken
crab
place.
like this all the
It was in
time.
the sunken place. That's where he delivered.
Baby.
Damn.
That's funny. Gosh, it's funny. I saw a meme yesterday, and I think it was on the Mari Povich page, and it was like, "Oh, you know what? We got stimuluses, so that baby does look like mine, Mari." So
Or
That's
the
crazy.
father.
yeah,
So,
So,
speaking of fathers,
yeah.
one
Oh, yeah.
gospel
Oh, what's
father
going on?
has gone. He backslid hella.
Oh, what happened?
Did he backslide or did he bring what he brought out?
Well,
I just he showed us that he a real nigga. That's what he showed us.
pretty
You know what I'm
much.
saying? And when I say that, what I mean is he showed us that he from the hood. Talking about Kirk Franklin. He showed us that he's a gospel man, but he's also human. He's also a black man, and he's also a black parent who don't play. That's what he showed us.
What happened with Kirk Franklin?
Yeah,
Oh,
so
his-
Kirk Franklin's
Go
son, I'm sorry, Kirk Franklin's son posted a conversation between the two of them that got pretty
Mhm.
heated. So supposedly they've had a on and off again, relationship, a strange relationship for quite some time.
Yeah.
So whatever happened, this son, I think his name is Rashad. I don't know. Someone correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Posted it on his page. So now it's like going viral.
Yeah.
And so there's going to be interviews. Kirk Franklin, I believe, put a statement out, and
What he
it's just
post?
it's just a lot.
What he post?
Carry
I
on,
ain't telling
carry
me
on,
nothing.
Rashad. Carry on, Rashad.
Carry on,
Um,
Rashad. Carry on, Rashad. Okay.
I'm saying,
So
what
we
he
don't
post?
have a lot of context about what actually happened. But the son Carry on Rashad recorded an argument him and his dad was having. In the argument, the clip that we heard, you hear Kirk Franklin calling his son a bitch ass, and and he said some other stuff, and then the son did he say, and he tell the son he'll break his neck, and then the son say, I dare you, and he was like, and then he go, no, that's when he say, I'll break your neck. Don't you ever disrespect me. I break your neck, nigga. Don't ever disrespect me like that. But he ain't saying it in the voice tone I'm using.
Yeah.
Like he is
Straight
going
Oak Cliff.
hard. He is going hard. And now I haven't seen a lot of the comments, but it was saying that it's like two sides. One with he's a I mean Kirk Franklin wasn't wrong for what he did basically, and the other
Yeah.
side is you shouldn't talk to your kids like that. Self that mental abuse side or whatever. And
Yeah.
and of course, I'm pretty sure part of that other side is he's a man of God. He shouldn't talk like that, which that is the most ridiculous aspect of it, in my opinion.
Agreed.
Anybody who holds that position, that's not even worth having a discussion about, in my opinion. But that's what's happening. And it's crazy, bro, because like you need to listen to it but forget listening to it. Like the whole aspect that makes it ridiculous to me is this dude is a parent and he's talking to his son who's 33.
33. Not a
He's not a
kid.
teenager. Yeah. Like when I first heard this, I was like, oh, okay, he's a teenager. I'm like, okay, not that it still was wrong, but I just assumed that it was a kid that did this because that's a kid action. That's a 33-year-old man. You gotta be kidding me. Like I have no sympathy for this dude. Forget all that.
So this dude say, hanging up in my face, no apology, no compassion, no effort. Stop telling me to go home to my family. I don't even know where they live. I don't think I'll ever trust my father to be alone around him ever again. I didn't want to do this. I probably won't release the entire recording because it's too embarrassing that I'm even dealing with this. No matter what people think, I pray my dad deals with his deep hatred towards me. I don't feel safe around him at all. This recording is recent. It is not from 2018. Just to clarify, I'm going to learn from these experiences, live my life in peace, and make beautiful art.
Is he an artist?
Yeah.
Guess so.
Yeah. His page is very artistic.
Like visual artist?
I would say, I totally agree. Like sometimes kids will take you there. I don't advocate for abuse verbally or physically, and especially with how we normalize a lot of things with our kids. But I do understand that sometimes kids will take you there. And this is not really a kid. This is an adult, even though your kids are always your kid. But I have to think also, try to be objective, is that a lot of this didn't start with this conversation, So if this may be a little kid in a grown man's body, so I don't know what occurred in his childhood. So I do want to, take that in effect, but I also believe that it has to become a point where when you're an adult, you don't blame your parents anymore. And I know that that's a struggle. I do understand that it may take therapy and it takes time. So I want to be sensitive to the fact of, I don't know what this grown child went through, but I also, just from the snippet I heard, I understand, because I'm a parent, and sometimes, we really try to use the right language to get through to them. But how much can you take, especially if you have, I know some kids that terrorize their parents as adults, or still taken from their parents as adults. Mm-hmm. So we really don't know, like you said, Capel, the context of what happened prior to the recording.
Yeah,
he wasn't respectful of his dad either. He told him to shut the fuck up, and like he wasn't. If you want respect, you have to give it.
Exactly.
Even between parent and child, especially if you're an adult child at this point. Don't be telling me to shut the fuck up. How about you shut the fuck up?
And I'll break your neck.
I put my foot in your ass. How about I took care of you and I raised you? And
if the only way I would have sympathy for this dude is if he was saying stuff like, Dad, I'm trying, what do you want? I'm trying to meet you half what I give. He was actually reaching out, and then Kirk Franklin was like, you bitch ass, blah, 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 this. And he was going hard. I'd be like, dang, Kirk, this dude is trying to, like, he trying to send an olive branch. Even then, I'd have been like, man, it's for us because he recorded it. He just wanted us to hear his side. Him, like, even then, I probably would have had that skepticism, but I still would have, but even I would have been a little bit more understanding to his feelings. The recording part is really what I'm focused on because I don't have context, and I don't always like to, go on one side of who's right or who's wrong or who I think is mostly right or wrong without context. I'm focused on the fact that this dude recorded it and put it on social media. I have no respect for that. I don't care what he's going through. Like, that's not the answer. That's not going to help him get the self-care or the self-help he needs or the mental care he needs. If that's what he's going through, that's what he's saying that he's going through with that family. This is not going to help that. It's not. I mean, so the order, put it like this, it could always lead to help because it's in the spotlight now. Maybe it leads to help, but this is that decision to do that is usually not a good decision. Like decision. So I mean, like, I don't respect that kind of. We talked about that with Mariah Carey and her sister, and it was on the other side. It was Mariah pushing stuff out. I was pretty much on the same stance I am here. Where I was like, you don't, like, you put that out there. You didn't have to put that out there. You know what I'm saying? But when you choose to put that out there, I mean, whatever way it goes is the way it goes. This dude put it out there, and for the most part, what I've read, he's not getting that whole lot of support. I'm pretty sure he may get some support, but most of that support is going towards Kirk Franklin.
Well, sometimes you got to look at it. I mean, it feels good to get revenge sometimes. You know what I'm saying? So, and he just, he said, if I'm gonna go down, the whole ship is gonna go down. So he's just putting a hole in the side of the ship. So now people see a different side of Kirk Franklin that they probably didn't know existed and stuff like that. So from just a little bit of information that I've got, because y'all didn't give me no information or whatever, just from a little bit that I'm reading, he's saying that he's been going through like he feels traumatized and stuff like that because of the stuff that Kirk Franklin and I guess that side of the family's put him through his whole life or whatever. He said that he can't even get no pictures of himself or his family, like, when they was young and stuff like that or whatever. So I don't know. It's some kind of deeply rooted family issues going on. But Kirk Franklin issued a statement and an apology saying that for many years we have had a toxic relationship with him as a family, and tried to tend to the private family matter through therapy and counseling. And he said, he lost his temper during the argument with his eldest son after feeling disrespected. He admitted that he's not perfect and asked the public to keep him and his family in prayer. That's why everybody try to throw the prayer and shit like that out there.
I wouldn't apologize. I wouldn't have apologized. I would have been like, well, y'all come deal with him then. If you mad, come deal with him.
Yeah, send him a donation.
Come help me help a sister out. I tell my mom.
They say 2 years ago, Rashad claimed that he tried to kill him.
I don't believe. How did he try to kill you?
Kirk Franklin tried to kill Rashad?
Yeah, that's what he said. This was 2 years ago. And now the leader
the key words and all that I heard from the Rashad's explanation and Kirk Franklin's apology was Rashad said family, 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 and Kirk Franklin said family, family. So it sounds like the family has an issue with this dude, and the dude has an issue with the family. It don't sound. I mean, the Kirk Franklin may be maybe the most serious issue, but it sounds like the family has an issue with him, which means he probably got the problem. Like, I mean, it don't always mean that, but I'm like, if your whole family or if a big chunk of your family don't want to deal with you, there's probably some stuff that you're doing that causes them to not want to deal with you.
Yeah. I agree. He said his grandparents support him, but I don't know. I mean, that can be subjective too.
Which grandparents?
Which grandparents? And they may just be like, baby, that doesn't mean they're on your side. They may just be taking a neutral, trying to pull the grandchild in. But who knows? He said he's going to do an interview.
I want to hear this. I want to hear this interview, but also I need Kirk Franklin to speak candidly and not be so like politically correct. What are you apologizing for? He is your son. He did disrespect you. I don't think this is the son of the woman he's married to now. And also, I wonder which grandparents this child is talking about, because Kirk Franklin's mom left him with his grandma. Like, it's a whole story. He has his whole traumatic story as well. So I'm just gonna say, hurt people, and that's what's happening here.
Yeah,
so,
that's true.
So y'all putting all of the onus on the
hurt people. They're both hurting.
Yeah,
exactly. It's 360 degrees. Compare you saying it's Franklin started to hurt.
Listen,
his mama.
We talked about check this out. I'm without context, I'm not going to look at both sides of this and say, hey, both of you guys need to kumbaya and blah, blah, blah. Victims sometimes are victims because they allow themselves to be victims. And I don't mean like I don't mean like a woman allowing a man to beat on her or nothing like that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about people do stuff, and then when they get disciplined a certain way or they get reacted to a certain way, now they are a victim. Like, I agree with that. When you hear the context of a situation, to me, that's when you can truly understand where everything lies. I probably am being a little bit more on Kirk Franklin's side, simply because what I heard on that that recording didn't move me to say, oh man, you being verbally abused by your dad at the age of 33 because he cursed you out. Come on, not that. Now, if some other stuff come out later on, that's different. But that's what he chose to put out. That's the first thing he chose to put out.
That's all he had.
Well,
the other good shit happened before.
Well, if he was going to air out something, and to make people see that his father has been abusive to him, like truly abusive, that shouldn't have been it, because that's not good enough. That's not enough. You're not 12. You're not 12 years old. If you was a 12-year-old kid and you put that out, I would probably be like, okay, he's 12. I mean, the kid may have done something really wrong, but man, you calling your son a bitch ass dude, you said you would break his neck. Nah, that's not cool. You're 33, dude.
But what does that say about us as a culture or whatever, that your dad could talk to you like that and it's cool?
Hey man, come on, dude.
Man, that ain't nothing. Because your dad don't talk to you like that. Hey,
bro, me and my dad have had some flat out real arguments where we was about to throw down.
Maybe, but he ain't call you
he didn't. But my point is, I ain't gonna lie, it was funny. But my point is, as a man, me and my dad had those conversations like that, and we handled it as men. You know what I'm saying? Now, again, we didn't have a fractured relationship, so it was easier for us to come back and be like, talk about it or whatever, and apologize. My point though is, the parents. I mean, parents gonna say stuff like that. I don't feel like that's you say that's how we should. What did that say about society? Because Kirk Franklin, as a parent, is saying that to his 33-year-old son. I keep saying that because that matters. Like, if he was talking to an adolescent, it does say something about the what you're saying. But a 33-year-old man, I mean, I don't feel the same way.
But he say he's sick of it because he's been dealing with this type of abuse his whole life. And so I'm just joking around, but you got to put it also into context that this is Kirk Franklin, bro. If it came out that your dad was talking to you like that, then we was black dad, black son, whatever. But this is Kirk Franklin. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, you're right.
He's to a high esteem. The only flaw Kirk Franklin has is when he fell off the stage that time. Other than that, Kirk Franklin,
remember the sex addiction? Remember?
He had a porn addiction.
That's the real flaw.
But he talks about, Kirk Franklin is open with his mess though. Like, he doesn't mind sitting down saying, this is what I did, this is what happened, this is my life. And so I can see
after he get caught, he don't do it.
No, he didn't even, like, the porn addiction and stuff like that. That was not something he got caught doing. He came out and said, "These are my demons. These are my issues."
He didn't get caught by the public. His wife.
Maybe his wife.
That's
But
fine too.
yeah,
But
he
she
didn't have
wasn't
to let
gonna go
people know.
public. Yeah, he didn't
Yeah.
have to let people
Nah,
know.
he
She
didn't
wasn't
have.
gonna record him watching porn and put it on Instagram
Nah,
like
she
his
was going.
bitch
Man,
ass child did.
y'all know how it goes sometimes or whatever. He had to come out and make a public.
Well,
Uh,
she might have left him, but I also feel like with those kind of situations, it's more embarrassing for the woman.
Yeah.
So, because I probably would have been
Mm-mm.
like, no, we're not letting people know this. Like,
Mm-mm.
so that wouldn't have made me stay with you because you came out,
yeah,
but
Yeah.
that would have encouraged me to leave actually.
that's what's up, man.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
crazy though. Oh, go ahead, Gina.
No, I just like that. I don't. Kirk Franklin is real. He's not, and I've only met him one time, but I've seen him in concert a couple of times,
Mm-hmm.
and he just seemed like somebody who wouldn't, um, who doesn't bite his tongue. He's gonna tell the truth,
Yeah.
the butt naked truth, and it is what it is. Let the chips fall where they may. So if he's like, I don't want him to apologize though. I want him to. I mean, he can, whatever, but I want him to say what led up to the art. Like, why are you cussing this boy out? What did he say? What did he do? Like, what's been happening behind the scenes all these years that made it get to this point? Because that matters. Stuff building up over the years, that matters. All of that. So, and then if he's been estranged for all this time, now and like there's so much to unpack. I can't just go on this one simple argument and go, "Oh, Kirk Franklin is an abusive dad." I mean,
I mean, like y'all say, the dude he a grown man. So I mean, I could see a situation where I could be me and my son could be beefing like that when he get old. Ain't no telling or whatever. I mean, it won't be like that.
You ain't gonna put him in his place and break his neck.
what if he say "fuck you"? Shut the hell up.
I don't know.
I mean,
I might get my old ass whoopers up, man.
But the thing is, and I can imagine because just the little things my kids say to me now, and it's not even to that level, but I have to do a double take. Like, you sure, so I can imagine if they 30 or 40 and I understand that they're adults, but then you say some shit like that and think, it's still a level of reverence, but I think it's ownership on both sides, right? Mm-hmm. So hopefully, I mean, I know we don't have the context and we don't know what happened, but I also feel like if this son has felt like this, or if it's true that he's not by this wife, he may think, oh, well, they've had this family over here. If he's saying his grandparents are on his side, maybe they feel like haven't been taken care of, or they're watching the fame from the sidelines. It could be a lot of things that have built up over the years. And I don't know, but I don't know. Like, I've never met Kirk Franklin, but I've seen his family TikToks, and they're hilarious. Like, they really do seem like a very open and fun family. It's not as, like you would expect a Christian, like, celebrity to be. They're very open and seem like a normal family.
So in real
life, that's probably what the he mad about, because he don't get to be in none of the TikToks. That's why he ain't post the whole conversation.
In real life, daddy drama. My boy, one of my boys, told me his son play basketball. So if y'all know anything about AAU basketball, high school basketball, anything with these young kids or whatever, there's always parents in the stands that's going hard, arguing with the refs, arguing with their own kids, arguing with the other kids, with the coaches and other parents in the stands. Yeah. I done seen fights at these games and everything. But anyway, my boy say it had like one team had like a big dude. He was like, I don't know, for his age. I think they played like 14, 15-year-old AAU or something like that. And this dude was like big, looked like he was a grown man. And so the coach had his son, he was like, had him guarding him or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Which he really wasn't big enough to body that dude, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, long story short, after the game, the coach was talking to his son, telling him what he should have been doing and stuff like that. So my boy say this guy come out the stand and just start giving the coach the business. Nah, you wrong. Nah, you dead wrong. He should have he shouldn't have been on him. He shouldn't have been on him. He said the coach couldn't even talk no more because the dude was just on him talking shit and stuff like that. So my boy say, he had got all up in his face and stuff like that. And then so my boy say he would have got between them, was like, hey man, come on, man, y'all, y'all chill out or whatever. And then so the dude step back and say, so you telling me I can't talk to my own son? or whatever. So the coach, he was the coach. He was the coach's dad. So my boy say he felt stupid or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So, he say, so he was like, "Oh, my fault" or whatever. You know, egg on his face, and he say, "Man, they continued out into the parking lot, and they ended up getting into it." He say, the dude ended up telling nigga, "Fuck you, dad," or whatever. He say, his daddy say, "What?" It came around the corner and was about to start boxing.
Well, that's a new one. I'm an AAU basketball parent, so I definitely have seen my share of all of that. But that one is a new one, so that's hilarious. But if it doesn't include myself or my child, I just let the parents go with it. I mean, every blue moon, I got another parent's back, but it really gets heated. I don't know. It is crazy. I don't think every parent thinks they're a coach. Every parent think they're a referee. And I always, I say I admire referees so much, except for the ones that are like, don't know what they're doing. They just really trash. Yeah. But I'm like, oh my gosh, you got to have some thick skin and mental toughness because these parents give it to you. And the school that my son goes to, so he plays AAU and he plays school ball, but our school ball team is not the team isn't ruthless. The parents are ruthless. Like literally, like they have done write-ups on the parents, like how like much energy we have, but also how much shit talk we have. And it's not me. I'm the same one. But I'm like, I would understand if a referee just was like, F all of y'all and just got in the stands and did a run our test on us because it gets crazy. It really does.
That's funny.
I wish my son played basketball. He will not. As a matter of fact, he wears a t-shirt that says, "Yes, I'm tall. No, I do not play basketball."
That's funny.
That is funny.
To hear it.
It's definitely fun. I complained at first because I'm new to this is my stepson. So I mean I've had him since the beginning of his high school years. Yeah. So it was new. It was like it's so time consuming. And I was like already a busy person. So I didn't want to have this additional task. But now that it's coming to an end because he graduates this year, I'm like, I'm gonna miss it. It's definitely exciting. The adrenaline, man, it got to a point where I fixed myself a drink before the games because I'm like, I gotta kind of be prepared. You never know what's gonna happen. I gotta have courage. But it's fun. It definitely is fun. But parents, we're the worst of it, so especially, and I would tell AAU parents out there, you put your kids in these leagues, of course, to cultivate their talent and their skills, but also you want them to be exposed and for coaches to see them. If we're out there acting a fool, you think these coaches or these college coaches want that kid on their team? Like they want a coachable kid, but they also don't want parents that's going to come throwing stuff and fighting folks and trying to coach the coach. So
that's crazy. Why you can't just sit back and enjoy the game, cheer, boo, whatever? But why do you got to be so extra, man? That shit crazy to me.
Well, but I see both sides because sometimes
that's only one side.
No, it ain't no other side because let me tell you one time, and I got on my son about it, but we were in Austin at a showcase and my son, I just see him. He's playing good. Okay, this is a good game. He's showing out. We're going to do good. Yeah. Then I see him push a player and he gets ejected from the game. So I'm heated. Damn. I'm mad at him. But the kid on the team, that he was guarding called him a nigga. Mm-hmm. So, but at that time, that's where we had to have this lesson about mental toughness because that kid didn't get ejected. Facts. They don't know what he called you, but they know what you did. So you're out. So you've messed up your opportunity here. So that's been the thing with my kid. Like he has the skills, he has the height, but here, no, we working on it.
Yeah, you got to work on that. Oh,
that's crazy. Hey,
I would be that parent though. I would definitely be that parent. Like I'd be jumping down out of the stands. And maybe that's why my kid doesn't play basketball because I'm extra when he's doing stuff for band. I'm like, that's my baby.
Oh, he hit that note.
You gotta play that horn, boy. Play
that. That's one of the reasons why I wouldn't want to coach past middle school. Because I wouldn't want to coach AAU. Y'all parents are the worst. Because I coached for 8 years. And I see everything that y'all say, but it's probably heightened with AAU because it's just so much more competitive than it is with the middle school. But I could not stand that aspect of coaching because like I say, every parent, think they know what they're talking about. And the thing is what the parents are saying, most of the time the coaches are agreeing with. It's not that simple. As the coach, you're the one who's working with the kids. You work on them with those same things that y'all parents are in the stands saying, do this, tell them to run this. You can't tell them to run something that you ain't taught them, number one. And number two, sometimes you have taught them and they still learning how to do it. They kids, they don't always react the same way. A lot of them don't have that muscle memory. There's so much that goes into why things don't look the way they're supposed to be on the court, even though you coach them. But the parents, they just see that final product. It's like the game is the test, and they supposed to have been, practice all the way through. And now this is the game, and you're supposed to be able to do it. And as a coach, you just that's why coaches be tell parents, hey, don't talk to them on the sidelines because you messing stuff up. Parents come on the sidelines and tell their kids, you got to take over. No, I'm going to pull your child out the game if you try to get them to take over like they Kobe or somebody. It's funny thinking back, but in the moment, oh man, that stuff is frustrating for real.
Oh,
and the refs, I couldn't be the ref because all they do is just get credit. They can't talk back. Sometimes they do talk back. I see some refs go back at the fans. One ref he was talking the whole time to this one dude in the stands. He running down the court, the basketball game, running down the court, going back and forth with the dude. I was like, this dude ain't gonna come back here no more. I know he ain't coming back here no more. Somebody gonna report him, the referee, because of course you're not supposed to do that. But anyway,
that's crazy, bro. That's bananas, man. The parents shouldn't be able to come back neither. That's stupid, man. Shut your ass up. Your kid sucks. That's why he's sitting on the bench.
Sometimes that's what you want to say. Sometimes you want to say that. Sometimes, seriously, before we move on to the next thing, I've had a parent get mad at me because their son didn't play that much. So I played him more. He never asked me again to play his son that much. Because he was able to see that his son was not that good. What he thought his son could do, I don't know why he thought that. Maybe because they would practice and he would just shoot by himself and he would hit shots. But when you add other people on the court and you don't have dribbling skills and all you can do is shoot, that shooting really don't matter. Especially when, it was so much to that kid's game that was not great. And his dad saw it. He never said, I understand now, Coach Anglin. Yeah. It just was like a unspoken understanding,
sometimes you need that, and it might be the detriment of the game, but I can respect that. But and I know we want to move on, but I do have one last story. There was a game not that long ago that we had, and my son was getting ready to guard this one kid, and I think his name was JoJo, and so my husband says, now, we all have to wear masks. My son says, shut him down, shut JoJo down. He's telling Jalen, shut him down. My son's name is Jalen.
I think you told us.
I told that already. Okay, well, y'all gonna hear it now. And the chick turned around and was like, that's real nice. Knock him down. And so it was like a whole argument there because she thought we were talking about knock your son down and, but.
Egg on her face.
Yeah.
So going back to Kirk Franklin, that highlighted something that I think for me is a problem. And it's this victim mentality that we have as a society. I feel like this society has adopted a victim mentality towards the sympathy towards a person we perceive to be a victim when we don't know the story of a situation. Even in the situation with Kirk Franklin, you have people coming out saying, oh, well, you don't know what this kid was going through at home and blah, 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 blah. That's true. We don't know. But why it seems as now in society, when we see a clip of a person going hard on somebody or somebody getting their butt whooped, we automatically fold to the person that we see as the victim and we start supporting that person a lot of the time. Now, the only reason why I think this situation is different is because it's Kirk Franklin. If this was if this dude was famous, let's say this dude was famous and that was his dad that wasn't famous, I guarantee you most people would be on this dude's side and they would be looking at the dad like, you shouldn't be talking. He should be talking to you like that. You're such a great person. We know who you are because he's famous and people think they know people because they're famous, even though they don't know nothing about him. Mm-hmm. So It's like this victim mentality, like a person seen as a victim, and now we just automatically go to sympathize with them. And for me, I never look at it like that. I always ask that question, well, what did you do? People say you shouldn't victim blame. Forget that. It's not victim blaming, it's assessing. Like sometimes you do stuff that warrants what you get. You know, like if you can't control the consequence you get when you piss somebody off, if you one of those people, like we talk about these Karens, you using words, and yeah, it's freedom of speech, and yeah, the person not supposed to whoop your ass by law, but you call the ass whooping because you can't control that person. That's your fault. You and everybody watches say what? She got what she deserved. She deserved to get beat up. And we know what the person did was against the law by whooping her ass, right? But we all agree. But because we saw the context of everything that transpired, this victim mentality is like something that I feel like it in this society now is worse than it's ever been. We look at people and say, like, we look at people. I mean, I want y'all thoughts on it because for me, it's like, man, when I see somebody getting done in, I'm like, what did you do? Because you did something. That person didn't do that for nothing. Let's see if you deserved it or not. That's how I look at the situation.
Well, when I do ask that question, what did you do? But I'm careful about who I ask the question to after listening to everything. I usually don't say, what did you do? Especially if it's like a student or something and they come and say, hey, this kid did this to me. And I say, ooh, I wonder what would make them do that. What happened before they did that to you? Did y'all exchange words or like, wow, that's really serious. What happened? And to get the full story instead of saying, what did you do? Like you had to have done something to me. And sometimes it's nothing. I didn't do anything. This kid just walked up to me and hit me in the head with his iPad or whatever. That's actually happened before, by the way. But so it's how you word it, because there's usually some context, usually, not always. And I'm sure in this case with Kirk Franklin that there's a whole huge backstory that we don't know about. So I'm even careful to blame the victim for his dad, cussing him out or whatever. I'm sure he did or said something. I'm sure there's more, but I think it's more about how you approach it, and you have to assess, like Capel said. If you're not assessing the whole situation because there's more than one side to the story, then you're missing something.
So that's my opinion. I wonder how he disrespected him. Did he call him and say, Dad, man, lately looks like you've been wearing blush and eyeshadow and lips glossy, man.
No, Regina, I mean, what you said is
look contoured though.
He does. He got something going on facially. But Regina, you're right. In a situation where I'm assessing the situation myself, like I'm actually the one asking questions, you're absolutely right. The questions I ask is not what did you do? It's like what happened? It's always just trying to figure out what the situation is without the person feeling like they did something wrong. Because you're right. Sometimes if somebody didn't do anything, and something happened to them. But I'm talking about these situations like on video. Like we as a society, we're so quick to jump to conclusions and then crucify people for it. And what I don't think a lot of people realize is once they jump to a side, they're very reluctant to jump off that side, even when evidence presents itself that they may be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Like true. That is true. Like that's a perfect example, Ebony, to be honest. It is a perfect example, but that's what ends up happening. Like when you usually jump to a side, unless clear evidence comes out, forget that. Sometimes the person can come out and say, you know what? I misjudged the situation, blah, blah, blah. And people will come out and still take that person's side and be like, you don't know what somebody said to her to make her say that. Somebody may be in her ear. Like, so this whole victim mentality, like the way our society addresses it, I think is ridiculous, man, because it's usually one side or the other side. It's hardly ever like, people just don't mind their business when it comes down to it. They always got an opinion about stuff, but whatever.
Yeah, true. I totally agree. And I think especially in what we're living in right now, especially with cancel culture, I saw somebody, I think it was on The View, Sunny actually said, she doesn't necessarily like to call it cancel culture, even though some of it is that, but she likes to call it accountability culture. Like,
I heard that.
Don't always think that just because someone's being canceled, everybody's being we're being too sensitive. Some people just need, now is the day of reckoning. Now you're going to be held accountable. So I think there's a fine line with that. And I agree with that. Like, why not? Let's call people out. But also let's not be so quick to cancel things that don't matter, and I think we are doing a lot of that too. So just like, I think this past week, Americans are so engulfed in what the Brits are doing. And we saw the Meghan Markle and Harry interviews. I didn't watch the interview, but I did see the clips of it. So Sharon Osbourne came to Piers Morgan's defense. I don't know if y'all saw him walk off and his tirades and all of that. So it's just now she's apologizing. Now I didn't really care that she needed to apologize. That was my opinion. Sharon Osbourne.
But why did she come out and say anything? He left on his own cognition. Nobody forced him out.
Yeah, I think she was more defending that she didn't he wasn't being racist. But what was her name? Do y'all know the lady on her show, the Black comedian Cheryl Underwood. Yeah. And I think she came out, she was explaining to Sharon Osbourne, it's not the direct racism. Like he doesn't have to say something racist for it to be racist. Like basically it's the undertone, it's the coverage, it's the way that he compared the two, Kate and Meghan Markle. So it's been a lot of back and forth. So Sharon apologized. I didn't really think she needed to apologize. She's just ignorant in that fact, but
right.
I don't know.
I don't even think they understand what's going on, because from my understanding, Piers Morgan had an intimate relationship with Meghan Markle.
Well, I don't know about intimate. What is intimate?
When I say intimate, I mean they had a close relationship.
Yeah, well, we gotta be careful how we say that.
No, but I think they did have I think they had a relationship like boyfriend and girlfriend, but I'm not 100% certain. But it doesn't matter. What matters is somebody else on the show was like, dude, I'm sick of you bashing Meghan Markle. Like, why do you keep bashing her? Like, why you keep talking about her? Like, you say you don't care about her, but you always talking about her or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And so he got upset and just walked off the show. Yeah. So it didn't have nothing to do with racism and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying?
Well, but
bash her though. Like,
but the conversation started off with a racial undertone, though. I think it's just the way you cover it. So you're right. He did have some type of relationship with her. I don't know if it was boyfriend, girlfriend. He may have had a crush on her. He states that they were friends and he put her in a cab. She went to a party, and at that party, that's where she met Harry. So I never heard of any.
Sounds like he kind of.
Well, I don't want. Well, yeah, and he is salty. He said that she never returned any of his calls. They never talked again. So
I don't like a bitter, butthurt lover. You know what I'm saying?
Well, or bitter, but I wouldn't say lover, because I've had some people that at times thought they were like, oh, I'm pursuing me, Ebony. And I went out of their lives and never spoke to them again. There was never anything intimate. It was just like, okay, we went and had coffee. I wasn't feeling that, or went and had a drink. So that may have never been the case. So I want to be careful without.
He's the guy that walked up to the girl and was like, oh man, lady, you are so beautiful. I would love to get to know you. You are so interesting. And then she's like, well, I'm sorry, I got a boyfriend. Well, fuck you then, bitch. He's that guy.
That's him. He is that guy. Well, I don't care what y'all say. I'm not canceling Kirk Franklin, and that's on Melodies from Heaven.
I wasn't on Kirk Franklin anyway.
This say about Meghan Markle and Piers. This basically says that they were friends, and on the night that Piers Morgan, I think he introduced her to Prince Harry, she completely stopped communicating with Piers Morgan. Like the night that she introduced him, she stopped, she ghosted him. So that's what it is. Is like they were friends up until that point, and then she was like, I got what I want out you, fool. Bye. That's what it seemed like.
Yeah, but he probably thought they were friends. They probably were never friends. She probably was like, man, you're weird. You keep trying to look. I'm just trying to get some media coverage, and you over here trying to, slide in my DMs.
He probably.
And Harry probably was like, we don't fool with Pierce. Like Harry probably was like, if you want to fool with me, we don't fool with Pierce. Choose. So
that was an easy one, huh? Yeah. But so cancel culture. So you're right. I mean, I don't like canceling people until they really like. I'll cancel people when I see that. I cancel people when they fit my needs, because I mean, like I don't never tell people I cancel them. I just stop. You know,
But what
people
if
these days feel like they gotta announce that I'm canceling you. I'm not listening to your music no more. Like, I don't care that you announce that you're not listening to this person's music or watching their music no more. Me personally, I will stop doing it because that's just what I want to do. The world don't
Right.
need to know. Um, but so I'm not gonna cancel Kirk Franklin simply because I don't think he did anything like wrong in the eyes of his profession, you know. And what he did was his business, and whatever they get done with their family, great. But what do y'all think about stuff like when they trying to cancel Pepe Le Pew? Have you heard about that?
Oh
The
yes, they
cartoon,
trying to
like
because of his like rape culture or
Oh, he's not
whatever.
yeah,
Yeah,
consensual.
he's not
yeah,
gonna be in the new
like
Space Jam movie. Why is there a new
exactly.
Space Jam movie? What the hell?
They've been talking about
We ain't
Space
got
Jam
no
movies for the
new. We
last
ain't got
10
no new
years,
ideas. Nobody has any
but
new ideas. There's nothing new. It's all remakes and reboots and part twos or
man?
well, it's not a remake of Space Jam. It's part two. Oh, you
I
just
don't
said
want a
that part
part
two.
two.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
Yeah.
want a part two of Space Jam. The first one was cheesy enough. Why do we need another one? We don't need
Right.
another
I don't
Space
know.
Jam. And also, you're
But like,
canceling Pepe Le Pew. Like, I love Pepe Le Pew. And it
watch this.
the on the cartoon, if you watch,
So you like a
if
little
you
rapey, you know?
Right?
no, let me
But
tell you,
it's his
I don't think he
life.
was. I don't think he was. Here's the problem. It wasn't that he was like rapey. It was that he stank. He smelled bad. The little kitten didn't like him because, and he wasn't even smart enough to know that that wasn't another skunk. He was
Exactly.
going after a kitten. So there's his
Well, she was
mentality there. He
painted
was,
like a skunk though. She had a
yeah,
white stripe on her back.
accidentally on every
How did he
episode
know
if you
that?
watch, she was accidentally painted like, because he should have known she don't
Yeah.
smell like
That's
He
me,
should have
so
known because she didn't speak in this French accent either. That's how
Right.
he should have known.
oh, so she wasn't a goddamn skunk. She wasn't a
Right.
skunk. So we know now that Pepe Le Pew wasn't all that smart. And it, I don't think it was that he was rapey. He loved her or whatever. This little kitten he fell in love with. The kitten was trying to get away from him because he stank, not because she wasn't into him. Because there's one episode in particular, it's my favorite episode, where he's like all after her, and finally he's like, "Oh, it's because I stink." So he goes to this perfume factory and like changes his scent. And she's like, "Okay, you want me?" So she goes to this like stinky cheese factory so she can change her scent. And then she goes after him. And when she gets to him and he gets to her and she smells him and he smells her, he's like, "Oh, wait a minute, girl, you stink." And so now she's all over him and he's trying to get away. So I think it's just a cute little kids cartoon.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's anything like extra sexist or rapey about it because they show both sides. And it wasn't
Well,
because, oh, I can't love this man or this little skunk. First of all, he's dumb because he doesn't even know I'm a cat. Secondly, he stinks. That was the only reason. Why they kicking
why
out
we,
Pepe? I'm
we
not
can't
canceling Pepe Le Pew.
we can't
God damn
pursue
it.
women no more or whatever. Like,
Exactly.
No.
I mean, he did like hold on to her when she was trying to get away. He wouldn't accept no for an answer, but still, I will not cancel
I mean,
Pepe Le
but
Pew.
that's the thing is like my question is was there a new Pepe Le Pew cartoon coming out or something? Like, don't nobody watch that shit no more.
Yeah.
We
People
talking
just
about it
skip it.
because we saw it as kids.
Yeah.
Is that something that they showing the kids now? Is Looney Tunes making a comeback? Like, I don't even understand why this is a conversation.
I think it's ridiculous. It's like, so what next? Are they going to take off Family Matters because Urkel was going after Laura? Like, can you not?
He was Pepe Le Pew on that show.
Yeah.
God
So can
damn
you
it,
not
girl.
pursue people? I mean, I understand being aware of what kind of content we put in front of our children or what we accept and normalize, but it's getting a little crazy because that's real life. People pursue people. Natural attractions occur. People like people. Kids like people. Like, and once you take away that, like, even with social media, we've taken away social interaction. So now we're taking away just normal social, real skills and things that happen. Like, people like are attracted to people. So are we going to take that out of cartoons? So kids, I don't know.
I mean,
I
that's
think
not going to
it's
stop. But what about the Dr. Seuss debacle?
Yeah,
What
that
happened
too.
with that? What Dr. Seuss debacle?
with those books that had some
Racist
racist
undertones in
undertones.
it.
I don't.
Yeah.
I think some of these books should
Weren't
be
they?
in the museums or stuff. I don't think
But
people.
were
Go ahead.
Were they racist undertones just because he had people that looked like they was Chinese and looked like they was black and looked like they was from different cultures? Is that the racial undertone? Like, because I don't see nothing wrong with it. Like, you should have that.
I didn't
Diversity.
I didn't really look into what the real question is, but all I
I
can say is
did.
if the Chinese people are offended, they have every right. So I'm not gonna speak on
They
the other
not.
races. Oh, well, okay,
Don't
well,
nobody give a damn except for Americans. We the only, like, Bill Mayer blasted America, man. I don't know if y'all seen it, but Bill Mayer went in.
no, I haven't. But all I know is, regardless of even like with the statues and things like that, even the ones that really are offensive, I don't think that they necessarily should be demolished. I think they should be put into museums because I don't think that the history should be erased. So I'm okay with
Why not?
oh no, because I'm about to tell you. I'm okay with schools being renamed, especially like if I went to Booker T. Washington. So I mean, and I didn't even like everything about Booker T. once I kind of like did my own research. But regardless,
sexist.
Yeah, but I didn't go to a school named after somebody after Sam Houston. Like some friends went to Sam Houston. I wouldn't wanted to go to school where somebody owned slaves, but to each his own. But I do think with some of these statues, I think the museum is where this kind of stuff needs to be. I don't think that it should be. I should walk to school and then have a statue of Hitler or, some famous slave. I don't know, slave owner.
Why not?
Because
what do you mean? Why not?
That's like a revisionist. We don't want to start revising history. And like, if you erase it and get rid of it, then where are the relics and symbols so that our kids will know this is what happened? I don't want to erase it. I want my kids to know good and damn well that Black people were treated terribly. We were slaves.
History repeats itself.
And yeah, it does when we don't learn it, when we don't study it and learn it. And I'm not trying to do that. So I don't want a revisionist type of history. I don't want it to be erased. Have y'all ever read that book 1984?
I think we had to read it in school.
So in the book, the main character, his job is to basically revise history, shit that was happening. So he would take articles from the newspaper, he would rewrite them and they would put them out again and say, oh, that didn't happen. This is what really happened. And then as time went on, he would basically kept revising the thing, and people believed it. They were like, oh, and they acted like they didn't remember the shit that just went down yesterday because now there's a new story that makes no mention of it or says
it's called the Mandela effect.
Yeah, like our history textbooks.
We're not doing that. No, I
don't
want them
that's the point
put them in a museum.
But the thing is with history is a lot of things that came out of history, those ideas that originated, people think they originated from hate. Like people think that slavery started because I'm not there, but I mean, think about it. You think they said, oh, we hate Black people, let's go get them to do our work. They probably came up with that idea because they just was lazy and they figured that this was an economic thing. And for them, it probably wasn't about hate, even though it was 100% wrong. So what if you don't have that history and somebody starts thinking, hey, if we get these people to do this job for this type of it could start out, we could start slavery again. Like if there's no documentation of it and it disappears over, let's say the next 100 years or whatever, how many years it takes for a generation of people to forget something that's not documented, that could repeat itself. Because the ideas of it sometimes don't come from hatred or come from like a place of bad, something bad, but it turns into that because we don't have a historical, history to go back to. Context.
What I'm saying is, why do we need the monument? We don't need the monuments. We have the documented history or whatever. That's cool, but we don't need the monuments.
Okay, so you
could take the statues and put them.
No, I'm not talking about that. Yeah.
I am. I think I want both. I want both because why not? What is it? What are we out of land? Are we out of museum space? I don't think just like I don't want the pyramids demolished. I don't want anything. It was here. It was created. I want to preserve the art and the historical. Sometimes a lot of people are not reading books. Sometimes people are just going to go through a museum and then that's going to invoke curiosity. I think that it was created for a reason, and I think it should be there. If I had to look at it, or if I had to go this street, like there's White Settlement, Texas. I remember I got a job out there and I didn't take it just because the city is called White Settlement,
Wow.
but that doesn't need to be erased. People need to know about it. You can rename it. That's fine. But take the street signs, or don't cross out. There's Oak Forest, which is near the Heights in Houston. They still have not revised their HOA papers from like the 40s or 50s, where it says no Black people can live here. Those are $1 million homes now.
That's cool.
Huh?
And you think that's okay?
I don't know where that came in. No, I don't think it's okay. But I think that doesn't need to be erased. I think they need to revise it for the residents, but they need to take those documents and they need to be archived where people can see this is where this redlining occurred. Look what the kind of nomenclature they had in the things to keep us out. So no, I think it's very prevalent and it needs to be people need to be held accountable. You can't. My great grandchildren aren't going to understand what we're talking about on this podcast unless they can go to it. I hope they read, but they probably just going to click on our Instagram and YouTube, which is going to be ancient to them, and see what we talked about.
I see where you coming from or whatever. I don't see the need for a monument. I think it could be they could take pictures of it and post the pictures in the museum.
When you say monument, what are you talking about? Because Ebony gave a lot of examples.
Well, no, because she wasn't talking about just monuments, so I'm only talking about monuments.
So a statue.
Okay. The documentation is the documentation. Yes, that should always be there. I'm talking about the actual statues, the physical statues. Like I don't have.
You mean like of people, or are you talking about? You talking about monuments of people, or are you talking about like she mentioned the pyramids? Like that's a monument to a certain extent.
Well, we live in America. I'm not talking about that's for those people or whatever. I'm talking about these races, General Ford and all of these people and stuff like that or whatever. These terrible men. Even if it was some Black men that done some terrible shit, we don't need monuments of those people. We don't.
I think if they're already created, I'm not saying go out and make monuments of horrible people, but if it's already created, I don't want it torn down. I want it removed. I want it moved and put in a museum. To me, if I think about this, you think about what's her name, Ruby Bridges, that went to
Bridges.
Ruby Bridges. Okay, and yeah, we see the pictures, and it's like, oh my gosh, it gives you a tingling feeling to see a little 6-year-old go into the schools to integrate the schools while she's getting spat at and talked about. Those pictures give you a feeling like, yeah, you could have told me the story, and I'm like, damn. And then to know that she's still alive, she's still thriving, she's not old. She's
only 66.
Right. So it's just like, so now just imagine she's going by, or any kid having to walk to school past this monument of somebody that wants this person dead or doesn't even think that they're a person. They're 3/5 of a human. To me, that gives me the nostalgia. I'm not, put it in a book, take a picture, whatever. But if I'm a museum goer or something like that, and I'm looking from the eyesight of a little girl having to walk past this every day, that gives you the understanding of why this was such a big deal. You understand? Pictures are worth 1,000 words, but that feeling, that emotion, I think it evokes other things.
I think I see what you're saying, Ebony, and I agree with that aspect of it. But I also think that monuments to most people are looked at as positive. So the word monument is a symbol. So if somebody say, I'm gonna put a monument of you here, that's like, oh, great, you're honoring me. So for that to exist in a museum, I think it would have to be a museum that was specific to why that monument is there, why that statue was moved there. It can't be like a museum of historical blah 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 where you go there to just learn all the history. Or if it's in that museum, it needs to be in a certain section where you know that I'm not looking at this statue as this is a great man. I'm looking at this statue as this man did this blah blah blah. And in that it has to be like this man was honored, but now it was taken down at this date because of like all that to me has to be a part of that particular showcase at the museum, because if it's just a monument in there, it I don't know how many people would get that what you got from it. Like so I think if that's the case, it would definitely have to be context to why that monument is there. Otherwise, I do agree that the monument should be removed because of what monuments stand for most people. Like they're usually symbols of greatness or something like that. Well, so they would just have to change the context of why the monument is there.
Let's put it in the Museum of Racism.
Yeah, we can.
Something like that.
We have a Holocaust museum.
Yeah.
So
and have y'all been to the African American Museum in DC?
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. I talked
I
about
have
it
not.
on this show or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my thing is this. Once, okay, yeah, so that's the racism aspect of it. But then, okay, so if we don't, okay, so think about this. Like someone just mentioned Booker T. Washington being sexist, or, so what if someone says, oh, well, we don't want to have, let's tear down his statue because he was a sexist. And then somebody else, let's tear down this person's statue because we found out he had 3 wives or he practiced polygamy. I, the, his, I still feel like if it's here, it's already created, it's already a part of our history because we're trying to tear it down,
Right.
So I don't think it needs to be demolished. That's all I'm saying.
So
Yeah.
do you? All right. So coming up or whatever, we got words and stuff like that we use that people may have started in New York, that may have started down south, that cats on the West Coast may have started. We got words that are universal. I could have went from Louisiana to Houston and I could have had a conversation with a dude in Houston. He understand everything that I'm saying. I could go to New York and have that same conversation or whatever. Some type of way before we had the internet, we was able to convey messages and stuff like that or whatever. And I don't know how that shit was getting around. All of your mama jokes and all of that type of stuff or whatever. Some of them was the same. How was that information being passed just from person to person or whatever? You know what I'm saying? Through phone calls and all of that type of stuff. Even before we had phones and music and stuff like that, people, well, not before music, but people were still able to get information to each other that was, able to circle, the circuit or whatnot.
But was it accurate from the first person who told it to the one who's telling it now?
It
Has
may
there
not.
been any changes? And I guarantee you the answer
Yeah,
is
mostly. But
lots
what
of
I'm,
changes.
but you have. I was going to circle that around and correlate that to history and the way stories are passed down from generation to generation or whatever. We don't have any stories passed down in our culture in America or whatever. Black people do not have any stories passed down or whatever. How is that even possible? The
I
stories that
think we do.
life in America, as far as we know, it starts at slavery. There's nothing before slavery or whatever. We don't have any information about before slavery except that we may have came from Africa. We don't know anything. Stories would have been passed down from tribe to tribe or whatever.
Mhm.
It would have happened. It's no way around that.
Mhm.
Language would have been passed down from generation to generation. Our generations start in this country and it starts with slavery or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Those are all the stories we hear. So somewhere down the line, I believe it's a possibility that a whole entire generation was wiped out. That maybe they had adults, they brought adults over here, or either they brought kids over here and they raised them, or they brought adults over here and let them people have kids and they killed off the adults. That's the only possible way that slavery could be the beginning for us or whatever, without any stories being passed down from anywhere else, no other parts of the country, no other parts of the world and stuff like that or whatever. I'm saying that to say, you say that you don't want history. I don't care. They erased our history.
Yeah, but what I'm
So,
talking about is some of my history, and I don't think that's the only possibility that things
so
can't be.
I hear what you're saying, Damien, and I can't, of course I can't say you wrong because hell, we don't know. But I can also look at the situation differently and say that the stories that were with those people who came as slaves were erased because they didn't get passed because of all the movement of all the you had slaves going from this place to this place through slave trade. They had white men having sex with black women, and now those kids they weren't raised with the family. They were moved somewhere else, so they never heard those stories. Like there's so much that could have happened between in 400 years to where those stories got lost.
When you talk
400 years is a long time.
400 years is a long time, but you're only talking about maybe 3 generations of people or whatever. A human being, we can live 70, 80 years easily or whatever. So you're not talking about 400 years worth of people. You're talking about that's only like 2, 3. That's literally only 3 to 4 generations of people, bro.
But still, if you like, so before social media. before social media, you've always heard the most valuable way of like business or getting things out, word of mouth. You know, people would do posters and they would do flyers and they would do all this and say, hey, but word of mouth that's the best way to get your stuff out. But if there is no word of mouth, how do you get that out? Like, and what I mean by that is saying you brought in slaves. You got to remember though, like everybody that came from Africa, they didn't speak the same language. There was different dialects, you know. So if you being mixed with people that you can't communicate with,
you don't know that.
What history shows was that they brought slaves in from different tribes in Africa, and those different tribes spoke different dialects.
Different coasts,
now,
so, yeah.
and different. So that right there lets you know that. Now I don't know where they were like housed together. I can't say that definitively, but I'm speaking in theory, like you speaking in theory. That's all I'm doing. So I mean, I can see a scenario. I'm not saying that's what happened. I can see a scenario where those stories were there. And those stories got lost because of the movement, because of the dying off, because of the, you know, like I said, you know, white masters that having sex with black slaves, and those children were not raised in the house, you know, with those like all those things to me can be a reason as to why those stories got lost. That history got lost. Yeah. And the only history we know is the actual history that was in Africa. Right. I mean, I can see that as a possibility.
The reason why that's not a possibility is because the fact that you had people that were here already, and that would have had to been purposeful or whatever for them to mix those people. Or some people was able to flee and move to like Canada and northern United States and stuff like that or whatever, and they didn't go through the same thing or whatever. So we're not talking about everybody. We're not talking about 100% of the black people. That's the point that I make.
Well, so my thing is, okay, so for the people that Capel's talking about, they couldn't read and write. People were moved, separated, and if you did spread your stories, it probably would be on that plantation. It's not like you wrote it down and sent it by mail to the next plantation to carry it on. I look at my family now. There's so many things that my family is so secretive of. Like, there's things like, why didn't you tell us? Like, you're alive now and we don't know. I can see, I honestly can see it. Huh? I mean, everything that we do is created, whether it's consciously or subconscious. I understand that. But I don't necessarily think a whole generation of folks were wiped out. But I do think that they did a good job of silencing a whole generation of folks.
Then that's saying that they are smarter than they are. Those people were not that smart.
We know that now. I don't
think they did that. I don't think they silenced us. That's the thing. I don't think a lot of what they did was strategic. I don't think they silenced us strategically. But I think it was a byproduct of what they did. Yes. Like you think that slaves, a mother, a husband and wife, or two slaves that just slept together and had a baby, you think they raised their child and was able to pass stories on to them? No, that child was removed from them. That child was a commodity to the owner to sell to somebody.
Bro, like, okay. How did those things? They would have went to another family. Stories would have gotten passed down.
They wouldn't have went to another family.
They're not eating at a table together. They're working. They don't have time.
They lived in quarters.
In the movies. Yeah, they lived in quarters, but you don't know if they could talk. You don't know what the situations.
I mean, how did they learn these songs together and stuff like that?
Because they sung in the cotton fields.
If they didn't, when they came over, they were indoctrinated into a whole new way of life, a whole new religion. Fear would have made me forget, like, okay, whatever that stuff was over in Africa I was doing, let me forget it so I don't get my ass beat every day. There was that was real.
Then what say you about the Jewish people? Everybody has stories, Gina. Everybody passes down stories.
Okay, so let's put this in context. My great grandparents raised me. I tell y'all that a lot. They raised me. They came from, my great-grandmother came from Rayville, Louisiana. My great-grandfather from Navasota, Texas, by way of Mississippi, by way of one of the Carolinas. So they told me stories. A lot of them were old people stories because they were old. And some things I remember, some things I didn't remember. But they didn't sit up and tell me everything about their trials from 1908, okay? My mom was raised with their parents, which was born in the end of the 1800s, you know? So, but they didn't talk about a lot of things. There's a lot of things I'm learning about, even the great grandmother that raised me today, that she was ashamed to talk about. So I think it's a cultural thing too. I understand that there should be some things that we should know, that Billy did this and took over the plantation or whatever, and he was a hero. I get it. But I think it's a lot of things with communication that they just did not always pass down. And sometimes kids just don't think it's important enough to make it historical in the family. I don't think that we have that where we really do that.
You're right, but you're 3 generations removed, and you know that he from Navasota, from somewhere in the Carolinas, and somewhere in Louis. You know that information because it was passed to you. It was given to you. Of course,
because I listened. Yeah, but everyone in my family don't know.
That's the point. Everybody passes stories, some type of story. There is nothing.
I think that
prior to slavery.
I think you're right, prior to slavery, but I think when you think about slavery in itself, I think you're giving too much. I don't know what the word. I don't know what it is.
Credence.
Yeah, maybe credence to those people to pass down stories when they were slaves. Like I can imagine if I was a slave, that would be the least of my. Like that would not be my priority to talk about the stories of my culture in Africa. Also, a lot of times stories are cultural. Like a lot of even if you listen to African proverbs and the African stories, the African mythology, African fairy tales or whatever, they're specific to that region and they're important because they actually teach life lessons of what the people go through while they're living there in Africa. They didn't live in Africa anymore. I mean, though, like I said, you take away and a lot of times those stories are told in a family setting. Like think about the culture of how stories are told. I mean, a lot of times we see on movies and we read on books, there's a certain picture that they paint when stories are told. It's not just, hey, little dude, let me come tell you about this. It's like a family setting. It's like sitting around in a fire. It's like it's a certain setting. When was that happening as slaves? Like when was there opportunity to do that? I'm dead serious.
When was the opportunity? like the movies that you see, all we see is a microcosm of whatever.
No, I'm not talking about the movies. I'm talking about if you think about if we think about the way that they describe slavery, it's not about the fact that they had interaction. It's about how they were treated and what the expectations was for them from their masters. If we think about what actually was said of how slaves were treated, why is it so far-fetched to think that they could not talk to each other? Why is it so far-fetched to think that they were in quarters, but people actually they learn how to communicate in secret? Well, I mean, not how and to that talk, can and that communication that they did in secret, I guarantee you they wasn't wasting time talking about stories because it was limited.
Are you
right? Yeah, no.
Yes, I'm dead serious.
No,
dead serious.
I agree because I think about when I get off of work, and that's just I'm privileged, right? I get off of work and it's a long day, and I got this to do, got to cook, whatever. I want to have that Cosby family time where we're talking and sharing stories. There can be weeks before I'm even really substantially communicating with my kids, and I have to make time. So I can let me imagine that and I understand that it's the movies and every slave didn't have this going on, but just imagine I'm in the hot sun getting beat, trying to secretly pass a message, trying to do this, gotta go feed the baby, pop my titty out to feed the master's white people. Baby, yeah. I can't like, where am I in my mind? Like, oh, now let me tell you, let's talk about our history. That was, I don't know how much time these people had. I don't know how much rest they were trying to catch up on when they could rest. I don't know if they were trying to sneak food to keep their children alive rather than sneak stories. We don't really know. I understand that wouldn't be everybody, because I'm pretty sure there's some Black people we could call upon that do have the stories passed down. Yeah. May not be in the history books, right? Because they've rewritten the history the way they want it to be. Absolutely. But I do think that the family dynamic was strategically, and I understand maybe not on purpose, but it was a byproduct, taken apart. So everything, it wouldn't be so far-fetched to think
it's not about the family dynamic. That's what I'm trying to get y'all. It's not just about the family dynamic. Dudes in prison pass stories along to each other or whatever. Not that let's sit down around a campfire and tell stories. I'm just talking about having a discussion with somebody. This is what we do.
So what I'm saying is, when those people die, where do those stories go? So it's fine to say when you're alive, the prison people are doing this, the people are doing that. So maybe they did that too, and they're gone. So I don't know what Joe.
So the kind of
Sample said.
stories, yeah, but the kind of stories, Damon, you talking about, those stories are not going to be universal. Those stories are just going to be in a small pocket of people. How do we know that stories? How do we know that they're not stories that are in small pockets of people that exist from slavery times? We don't know that. They're not universal stories. When you say stories, I'm talking about like cultural stories. Like, I'm pretty sure you can go to Africa in certain areas and everybody knows of a story. Like, because it's cultural, it's about those people, and it's something that's passed down from generation to generation. How could we have had something like that when the dynamic of how slaves got here, and there wasn't that dynamic to be able to pass universal stories from generation to generation? So there probably are pockets of stories. You might meet somebody who say, my great grandmother or great grandmother was a slave, and she did this, and she made sure she told her son this, and that's gonna stick with just that group. It's not gonna be everywhere.
That is, bruh, and you're still starting. The catalyst is slavery. There's nothing beyond that. That is my point.
Because they didn't talk
about slavery.
But so my point is,
y'all making excuses or whatever.
No, you saying there are no stories. You saying there are no stories, and we're telling you why we think there are no stories that are universal. You started off with but you started off with we could be in here in the South, York and then have a conversation with somebody in New York and that's universal. So that's why I'm connecting that like that way, because you started off that way.
Okay.
I don't think that's why I don't think it was universal, because of the dynamic of how slavery happened.
Even if we break it down to what you saying, like saying it's like specific people that may have stories. No, they don't.
Hey, we gotta cut it short. We gotta go. Yeah, because this is a long show.
Continue this later or whatever.
I have to.
But yeah, but we had like almost a minute, an hour and 15 minutes, 20 minutes, something like that. Anyway,
the fans waiting on the Capel fight stories and stuff like that or whatever. So
we can talk about that another time. I do want to highlight, we had Shakondra Icon Sibley on the show. I went and got her book.
Yeah,
my name is pronounced Holy. Go out and get your copy. I haven't read it yet, but I know it's dope because her performances and her words are dope, and we've all seen that. So go get your copy. My Name is Holy is on Amazon. Mine came in within a week.
I'm waiting on mine.
That's crazy.
I ordered directly from her website.
Yeah,
so I'm
same.
I did too.
Me too.
I should have ordered on Amazon.
I need it, but I want a signed copy. I think she's gonna sign those that are ordered directly from her.
Oh, I catch her when we Peabody had it next homecoming. Whatever. She might be in town.
I wanted her to get the profit. I wanted her to get the profit.
Yeah,
Amazon
and also I want her to sign mine. So yeah.
Yeah, Capel dirty.
No, but the truth is him ordering from Amazon will help her get to the top sellers list. So it's different. So it's a pro and con to both.
Okay. That's exactly what I was thinking.
You did good.
Anyways, we gotta go, y'all.
All right, man. I finished proving these losers wrong. Next time or whatever. We appreciate y'all.
Just like the man.
Appreciate y'all listening to us, rocking with us. Keep liking, subscribing, and all of that good stuff.
All of it.
All right. Peace out.
Till next time.
Later.